Michael English's voice touched the hearts of millions as he stood on stage for years. His songs became the soundtrack to countless lives because they were rooted in honesty, redemption, and vulnerability. His passion and worship, his graceful presence, and the emotion he poured into every note drew countless admirers. But away from the bright stage lights and the roaring applause, something very different was unfolding as his ministry expanded behind the man who inspired so many. A marriage was quietly unraveling. His wife, who had always lived in the background, decided to step forward for the first time. Not to attack or to defend, but to speak honestly and gently about the truth. This is not a story of scandal or betrayal. It is a story of spiritual exhaustion, growing emotional distance, and the cost of unspoken love. Their life together began beautifully. Two people with the same passion for ministry, working as partners in the early years of their marriage. She was Michael's anchor, his silent supporter, his prayer warrior, the foundation he leaned on. They prayed together, traveled together, and built a family while holding on to their shared faith. But slowly, things began to shift. With tours, albums, appearances, and church commitments, Michael's schedule became overwhelming. The more the world demanded of him, the less present he became at home. He wasn't harsh or careless, he was simply drained. Present in body, but distant in spirit. His wife noticed the change yet kept quiet. She continued to pray, standing by him, believing it was only a season. Months turned into years. Conversations grew shorter. Love began to feel mechanical. Their home slowly lost its warmth. Then came the rumors. It started with photos of Michael backstage during long ministry tours, sharing moments with another vocalist. Fans raised questions online. Blogs speculated, social media buzzed. Whispers grew louder. Was there more happening behind the scenes? His wife saw it all, the posts, the comments, the speculation. Without knowing the full truth, strangers drew conclusions about her marriage. She remained silent, but inside she was breaking. One evening, unable to ignore the silence any longer, she asked him directly, "Is there something you're not telling me?" Michael didn't deny it. He admitted the truth. It wasn't a physical affair, but an emotional one. At a difficult time, he had formed a deep connection with someone else. He explained that it never became romantic, but it had crossed a line, something he deeply regretted. He made no excuses. He didn't blame her. He confessed that he had been lost, using the closeness of ministry as a way to avoid the issues at home. The truth shattered her, yet it also opened the door to healing. She didn't leave. She didn't retaliate. Instead, she chose to speak. With him, not the world. And together they began the slow, difficult work of repairing what had quietly broken. They sought counseling. They stepped back from public ministry. Michael left the stage for a time to focus on his family. For the first time in years, they truly talked. There were tears, painful truths, and long silences that finally made sense. She carried this secret for years, but now feels compelled to share, to shame, but to shed light. She wants people to know that silence does not always mean peace, and forgiveness is not the same as forgetting. The world saw their smiles. In public, but never the lonely nights, the quiet dinners, the prayers she whispered, alone while he sang for thousands. She does not hold resentment. She is not broken. She is stronger because she learned to heal without losing herself, not because the pain didn't matter. She speaks now for others, especially women in ministry who silently carry heavy burdens. To them, she urges, speak your truth, ask the hard questions. Don't let silence grow too deep. You don't have to lose yourself to be brave, she says. You don't have to disappear to be faithful. And if God can heal anything, you don't have to keep quiet about it. Her message is clear. Marriage and ministry is hard. Few people understand the pressure of being married to someone admired by the world. But healing is possible, not because nothing happened, but because they chose to face it. Michael expressed regret. She forgave him. And together they continued to grow, not as a public couple, but as private partners learning too. Love again with open hearts and fresh eyes. Her final words are powerful yet calm. This was never a scandal. It was a quiet struggle, one we faced together, and one we still walk through with love, grace, and truth. After years of silence, she finally speaks, not to cause debate or assign blame, but to share a perspective rarely heard. Her words are not bitter or angry, but genuine. She sheds light on the emotional journey of standing beside someone in the spotlight, while quietly carrying burdens no one else sees. This is not a scandal story. It is a story of distance, silence, and what it means to fight for love under public scrutiny. At last, the quiet voice behind the gospel star is being heard. Michael's passion, along with his voice, made him a household name in gospel music. His songs touched audiences deeply because they carried themes of redemption and brokenness, singing of faith, grace, and second chances. He became a fixture on some of the biggest stages in Christian music, but the weight of that calling was heavy. Constant travel, public expectations, and spiritual responsibility took their toll.
Ow.
Front of millions, Michael knew both victories and failures. Still, he returned to the stage again and again with a message of hope. Yet behind the scenes, exhaustion and distance began to show, only with audiences. But with those closest to him, his wife says it wasn't dramatic failures, but small changes that grew over time. Missed conversations, tension left unspoken, smiles that didn't reach the eyes. She noticed but stayed quiet, waiting for the man she loved to re-emerge. Their marriage, once full of purpose and passion, slowly became strained. She had no desire for fame, but chose instead to remain loyal, supportive, and strong behind the scenes. While Michael ministered to the world, she held the family together. For a time, that balance worked until ministry demands grew heavier and the distance widened. At home, became quieter, emotionally unavailable. He gave his best on stage, but came home with nothing left to give. We lived on different emotional islands in the same house, she said.
Yes.
She felt unseen, though she never suspected betrayal. Silence became the third partner in their marriage. Then came the whispers and line posts, backstage photos, videos from tours showing Michael close to another vocalist. Fans speculated, blogs exaggerated. She read it all, feeling uncertain, forgotten. Compared, even his casual mentions of this woman made her uneasy. Finally, during another long stretch of travel, she confronted him. There was no fight, no denial. He admitted the truth. An emotional attachment had formed when he felt distant at home. He sought comfort and admiration rather than confiding in his wife. It wasn't romance, but it was escape. Mistake I'll never make again, he told her. The truth hurt, but it became the beginning of restoration. She chose to forgive, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. They turned to counseling, set new boundaries, and slowly rebuilt trust. Forgiveness isn't pretending it never happened, she explained. It's choosing to move forward anyway. Now, she speaks to other women in ministry. Do not lose your voice. Do not hide behind silence. You don't have to stand in your husband's shadow to stand beside him, she says. Her story is not about resentment, but about healing, growth. In choosing love through brokenness, their marriage is not perfect, but it is real. They are stronger not because they avoided hardship, but because they endured it together. This isn't a scandal, she insists. It's the story of two imperfect people who refuse to give up. Behind every stage, every song, every smiling photo, there is a human story, messy, painful, but also beautiful. Michael English's wife speaks now not to condemn, but to remind us all that when truth is spoken with love, healing can begin.